Hello, everybody. It's Miss Abney. I'm here to start your lesson 1-3 with piecewise defined functions. In this next series of videos, we're going to go through piecewise defined functions, what that means, what that looks like graphically, and just basically looking at these different types of functions. So in this lesson, we should be able to go over how do you model a situation in which a function behaves differently over different parts of the domain. So again, we're looking at the x-axis and how this function behaves. And a good question was asked during tutoring, why we're going over these key things of the function. And if you were to look mathematically, we need to be able to convey what graphs look like, convey what they're doing so that we know what's happening. So this whole topic is to learn how to read the graphs and how to communicate what the graphs are saying to people who might not know how to read the graphs or who might not have a graph in front of them. So they themselves can create a picture of how the graph behaves. So in this lesson, vocabulary is the piecewise defined functions and step functions. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to graph and interpret piecewise defined functions. So I'm going to jump over to my smart notebook. This is the first question. I think it's the discuss and model question. And we will go over this one. So a music teacher needs to buy guitar strings for her class. At store A, the guitar strings cost $6 each. At store B, the guitar strings cost $20 for a pack of 4. They want you to use a pen tool to make graphs to show the income each store receives for the teacher, or if the teacher needs 1 to 20 guitar strings. So I am assuming if I go back over here, the pen tool that they're talking about is this tool right here that allows you to draw on the actual graph. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to draw your graphs using this pen tool, and I'm going to go back and use my own pen tool, which is this smart notebook. So pause the video at this time so that you can try this on your own, and I highly recommend you try this on your own. And then we'll come back together and go over the graph. So take a moment to pause this video and begin to go over this information. All right, so I hope that you tried to graph this on your own. So let's graph this together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my axes. So this bottom axis is going to be strings. And this side axis is going to be income. All right, we want 20 strings. So I'm going to put 20, and I think these go by 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Oh, and I did go 1 too far. So let me erase this and then put 20 here. All right, so I know that at the first store, we're looking at $6 per string. So the max that she would be paying is 6 times 20, which is 120. So let's do 10, 20. Let's see if this works. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. All right. And so what this would look like is here at 1, we would be roughly at 6 here. So at 2 times 6 is 12. 4 times 6, about roughly there. 6 times 6 is 36, about roughly there. 8 times 6 is roughly here. No, actually a little bit higher up. I was a little off there. And what we're noticing is that we're starting to develop this line to where when we're at 20, I'm going to be here at 120. 10 will be at 60. And I'm going to get my line tool. I'm going to make this line. This is what this first set of strings looks like. So using the same graph, I'm just going to use a different color. I'm going to use red. So the black one is strings at $6. I'm going to use red for this one. Strings at $20 for 4. All right, so the first 4 strings are going to be $20. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are going to be $20. The next 4 strings, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm off by 1. 5, 6, 7. Those are going to be another $20 or $40 total. The next 4 strings are going to be $60. 1, 2. And the next 4 are going to be 60, 80. And the next 4 are going to be 100. And that basically covers all our strings, because now we're at the 20 strings. So if I were to draw a line for this one, let me change the colors here. Let me get red. We're looking at something that looks like this. Something that looks like steps climbing up. So the graph of store A is a straight line. The graph of store B jumps between flat sections. They are different because store B sells packages, not individually like store A. So that's what it says. Describe the shape of the graph for store A. Describe the shape of the graph for store B. Why is a graph different? And again, this one sells it individually. Oh, that dot is a little off. This one sells them individually, while this one sells them in packages. And because this one sells them in packages, we see this jump in our graphs. All right. So part C, communicate precisely. Compare the graphs for store A and B. For what numbers of guitar strings is cheaper to buy from the store B? Explain how you know. So this is really, really good. So at what point does it start becoming cheaper to buy guitar strings from store B? Let's see. Let's get this guy. Let's get him in blue. And I'm going to make him dotted. So here, well, actually, let's go. This is when they're the same price. So when it's $4, for guitar strings, it's cheaper to buy it. When it's at 7 guitar strings, it's actually cheaper to buy. See, what is that? 11 guitar strings, 14 guitar strings, and then 18 guitar strings. So it's not the same overall. It's not like the red graph is at some point just becomes less. It's at specific points that it's less. So at 5, it's more. At 6, it's the same. And then at 7, it becomes less. Right here at, I believe that's 13, it's the same price, and then it becomes less. At, I believe that's 17, it's the same price, and then becomes less. So to put this into actual words, it is cheaper to buy. So it is cheaper to buy. Let's see. It's cheaper to buy from store B if you are purchasing. If you buy 4 7. And also, if you buy 8 guitar strings, it's still cheaper, but at the 7 point it is. So we're going to include that 8. And then going back here, 10 and, oh no, what is that? 11 and 12. 11 and 12. And then 14 through 20. Guitar strings. G. Guitar strings. Right, and you could compare the graph. We saw the compare on the graphs, so that's how you know. So you could compare the graphs and see when the price for the guitar strings are less than for store B than they are for store A. So this concludes our model and discuss. And in the next video, we will go over example 1.